Okay, now review. You need your multiplication table. You're going to need your little cheat sheet, equation cheat sheet here. It's not purple, but that's what mine is. So you're solving the equation for the variable. Okay, x second minus 14x plus 45 equals 0. The first thing you have to do is list what you have for your variable. You have x to the second and you have x. So that's two types of x's, so they cannot be combined. You have to use your factoring properties. Okay, list your solution set determined by the highest exponent that the x is to. It's 2, so that's 2. You look up at your little list, it's 2. You make sure you're at 0, check it. Now you can start factoring. You have 3 terms, so 3 terms is GCF table. Okay. Just because we make a box doesn't mean we're going to do anything in it. It's just what I need to think about. Okay, GCF. You do not have x in all your slots. This last one does not have one. You cannot factor out an x. Okay. Then 1, 14, 45. Well, that's just 1. Okay, because 1's the smallest number, so you're not going to do that. So like I said, just because I make a box doesn't mean I do it. Okay, so I take my A times my C, and I take 1 times 45. So that's 45, and it's positive, so that is a match. And it has to add to negative 14. 45 divided by 1 is 45, so that's negative 46. That's not even close. 45 divided by 2 is a decimal. 45 divided by 3 is 15. So negative 3 plus negative 15 is negative 18. That does not work. Decimal, keep going. 5 and 9. Okay, so negative 5 plus negative 9 is negative 14 on the button. Okay. So, before you put in your parentheses, you got to list what your A is. X second multiplied by 1. Okay. So you put the mystery numbers in negative 5 to negative 9 from up here. And x second is x times x. Okay. And then we take this 1 and put it in front of the x's. Now we try to reduce it and divide or simplify, whatever you want to call it. 1 and 5 are only in the first row. Okay, so that will remain 1x minus 5. Well, you put 1, 1. Okay. 1 and 9 are only in the first row. So I divide by 1. Divide by 1, it ain't going to hurt. Same thing. Delete that top row of parentheses, and then you bring over, now we have it factored into the two parts. Remember, the numbers in front of the x's, okay, remember, this ABC has turned into this. 1 times 1 should be the 1, negative 5 times negative 9 should be the 45, it is, okay. F2, so 1x minus 5 could equal 0, or 1x minus 9 could equal 0. Take out your 1, you plus 5. 0 plus 5 is 5. X would equal 5. Take your 1 off, plus 9, and x would equal 9. 5 and 9. Okay, number 2, negative 5x to the second power plus 30x equals 0. So we have x to the second. We've also got x. You're using your factoring properties. Okay, list your solution set. Okay, you have x to the second as your highest, so there's 2 answers for x. Okay, equals 0. You bet, we have it. Now, how many terms do we have to put into factored form? 2. Two terms is GCF DOPS. Different DOPS stands for difference of perfect squares. So we do have x on both the slots, so you take the x at the end, you do have a negative in the front, okay, then 5 and 30. There's 5 and 30's right there with it in the fifth row. So 5 because it's the fifth row. Okay, so then you go divide by the expression negative 5x. So that's positive 1. Now we do have to divide the x second by the x. It's simple. You just take x times x divided by x. That's x second means x times x. We have a remainder of x. 30 divided by negative 5 is negative 6, and the x divided by the x, there is no remainder. It wipes out. So there we have it. Now, before you come down to here, you bring over your negative 5x. That's not there, that's not there, that's not there. Only thing I'm paying attention to is this. So positive and negative, that's what you want. You need the first term to be positive, second term to be negative. Okay, 1. 1 times 1. Okay. But x, we run into a problem. It's not x second, so it ain't x times x. So an x without a power means that's a no. So you just bring over the 1x minus 6. So you F1, F2 that. So negative 5x could equal 0, or 1x minus 6 could equal 0. So you divide by negative 5. 0 divided by negative 5 is 0. Okay. Okay, if you have a times 1, get rid of it. And you just add 6 to both sides, x equals 6. 0 and 6. Okay. Okay, number 3, 5x minus 7 equals 2x plus 23. So you have x. You have x again, but I already wrote that down. Don't write it down again. So that's an x only. Okay. So you're not using factoring. X only, you're using linear properties. Okay. So you list your solution set. Now that x I put up there doesn't have a power, so there can only be one solution, one answer. Okay. Okay, collect the x's into 1. Well, they're on opposite sides, so you have to take out the smaller one. Minus 2x, that's 3x, minus 7 equals positive 23. Then the wall and solve. That's 30. 30 divided by 3 is 10. Okay. Okay, that's a quick one. Number 4, 3x to the second power minus 4x minus 15 equals 0. So we have x to the second, we have x. Well, with those two things, we have to go back to factoring. It's not an only. Okay, factoring properties. Okay, so highest exponent I put on my list is a 2, so there's 2 answers. That tells me how many times to write x equals. Here it was just a 1, so. Okay, 0's there, check it. And you have 3 terms. GCF table. Split the table in 2, okay. Okay, all the 3 slots, that doesn't have x. You don't put that. Negative in front, no. 3, 4, and 15. So here's 3. 15's there, but 4's not. So 3, 4, 15 are all in row 1. So if the GCF, greatest common factor, is 1, you don't do it. So I take A times c. Remember, a now I know is going to be 3x to the second. Okay. Alright, so 3 times negative 15 is negative 45, so that would be a mismatch. It means it's a positive times a negative. It has to add to the b, which is negative 4. 1 and 45, no. 45 divided by 2 is a decimal. 3 and 15. Negative 12, that's wrong. Keep going. 45 divided by 4, decimal. 5 and 9. 5, 9. Negative 4, okay, we found it. So you circle that. Okay, so remember your a, the number you're using as your a coefficient is 3 multiplied by x to the second. X to the second is we put x times x, and then we apply that 3 in front of each of the x's. Okay, so 3 and 5, no, 3 and 5 are in row 1. 3 and 9, here's 3 and 9 in the third row, so by 3. Okay, this just stays the same. And this divided by 3 is 1x minus 3. Now the numbers in front of the x's, remember this ABC trinomial has now been rewritten as 3x plus 5 times 1x minus 3, which makes sense because 3 times 1 is 3 in front of the x's, and 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Okay, so 3x plus 5 times 1x minus 3. So F1, F2. So 3x plus 5 could equal 0. 1x minus 3 equals 0. Okay, you got times 3, so you leave that. 0 minus 5 is negative 5. Then you divide by 3. Negative 5 divided by 3 is a decimal. It's negative 1.6 repeating. If you don't like writing that, just once you get that, you can always go second PRB, negative 1 2/3. Okay, I got a multiplier of 1. Don't need it then. Plus 3, plus 3. So x equals 3. Okay, number 5. Negative 2x to the second plus 98 equals 0. So you have x second only. Okay? That's it. Okay? So I'm not factoring. X second only. You're using linear properties just like you do with this, but then you have to do a square root at the end. So it's linear properties. And then a square root, put a square root below it, or beside it, whatever. So you list your solution set. Look up there, it's all you need to look. X second means there's 2 of them. Collect the x seconds into 1, okay? Well, I think we're good there. Wall. So the operations, we got times, circle that, and then the plus 98. So you solve it same way you would. You minus 98. So negative 2 times x to the second power. 0 minus 98 is negative 98. Then you divide by negative 2. Not negative 2x, just negative 2. And that's 49. Okay. Now you need to find this. You delete the second power and you make a square root over there. Okay, so that could be positive or negative. Okay, and you go second, hit the key next to the 7, 49, and you get 7. So it could be 7 or -7. You don't put 49, -49. You need to remember to square root it. That's why you go linear properties to solve it, and then you square root it at the end. Okay, story problems. A startled armadillo jumps straight into the air with an initial velocity of 8 feet per second. After how many seconds does it land on the ground? Okay. So you have feet and seconds. Seconds is x, feet is y. Okay, feet per second is 8. 8 times x. So the armadillo comes up, he goes down. He's pulled up and down by the force of gravity, which is -16x to the second. So no table. Go make your arch. Now there's nothing before the 8 feet per second, so I would assume he started at 0 feet. Then at the end, 0 feet. Make kind of a big box. And you go x second, then x, then constant equals y. So gravity, that's -16, okay? And then 8 fills the x slot. 0 feet fills the constant slot right there, so put 0, but then you get to delete that because it's 0, so that's only going to have 2 terms. Then this 0 feet at the end replaces the y, since feet equals y. Now, it's not a story problem, okay? First, list over here what you have. You have x second, you have x. Well, with those two things, you're using the factoring properties. Okay. Now, list your solution set determined by the highest of the exponents, which is a 2. This is where you're looking. You should have written that down. Equals 0, yes. How many terms? 2. Okay, so it'd be GCF. Then once that's done, we will see if we have a difference of perfect squares. If the remaining parentheses is a difference of perfect squares. Alright, so I got 2 slots. They both have x, so I take the x on the final slot out here. First term, the very first slot is a negative, so you put negative on your GCF slot. That's determined by what this is. 16 and 8. So what's the furthest row down 16 and 8 are? I think it's 8, okay? So wrap it up, and you need to divide that by that whole expression. Negative 8x. Negative 8x. So -16 divided by -8 is +2. Then I have to divide the x second by x. I have a remainder of x. 8 divided by -8 is -1. Then I divide the x by the x, which gives me no remainder. It's a wipeout. Okay, then you bring your GCF over here. Then, because again, once that's out of here, get rid of it, get rid of the top, and this is the remaining expression. We have minus, so we have positive and negative, so that's right. But 2 is my first number, and right away 2 is not something you can write as a perfect square, so that is no. So you bring over your 2x minus 1. F1, F2. So negative 8x could equal 0, or 2x minus 1 could equal 0. Here we go just straight into dividing by -8, and that's 0. Now, I had some confusion. The times number's at 2. Okay, you can't delete the 2, and you have a 1, but it's outside. You can't delete it if it's outside. Only if the dot number's 1, you can delete it. So plus 1, because 0 plus 1 is 1. Now you divide by 2. 1 divided by 2 is 0.5. You can write that or you can write 1/2. It's up to you. So 0.5 seconds, half of a second. Okay, next problem. An athlete throws a discus from an initial height of 6 feet with an initial velocity of 46 feet per second. For how many seconds is it in the air? Okay. All right, so you have feet and seconds. Seconds is x, feet is y. So per feet per second. The feet per second is 46. 46 times x. So this discus goes up and it comes down, pulled by the force of gravity. Gravity is negative 16x to the second. Okay. Okay, now we do have something before the velocity. The initial velocity is 6 feet. Now, after 46, there's nothing, so it'd be 0 feet. Big table here, especially with that not being a 0. Same setup as the last one. Negative 16 and 46. 6 feet has to go on the constant, so we are unable to get rid of it. That'll be 3 terms this time. This 0 feet still replaces the y. Feet is y, 0 goes right in its place. Y is done. Okay. All right, that leaves us with x. Well, we have x to the second and we have x. When you have those two things, you are back to factoring properties. Okay, list your solution set. That's down here. That means go down here. Highest x means how many answers are. That's what a solution set is. X second is 2 answers. Okay. Okay, equals 0, you bet. 3 terms, GCF and the table. Okay, so we don't have x on all 3. There's missing an x here, so you can't put that here. You're not missing the negative in front. You need to put that. 16, 46, and 6. Now, you can look at your table. No, 6 would be your smallest. Nope, 16, 6, 16, and 46. Nope. 6, 16, 46, all in the second row, so negative 2. They're all even, so you know definitely. But it's not without an x. Now, does that look like I'm putting x under there? No. So it'll be 8, but then the x will stay to the second. Does that look like I'm putting x? No. And then negative 3. So, you bring over your GCF. That's for later. Out, out. And this is where I'm at now. This will be your ABC. So remember, the A, the x second term, is multiplied by 8. That's very important. So 8 times negative 3 is negative 24. Okay? So that's a mismatch of a positive and a negative, and it's got to add to negative 23. Doesn't take long. 1 and 24 right away, that's negative 23. You add those, you get plus them on a calculator, you'll be right to negative 23. Okay, put in your positive 1, your negative 24, and then x second is going to x times x. Then I apply the 8 in front of the x's. 8 and 1. 8 and 1 are only together in the first row. 8 and 24. Those are together in the 8th row. They're also together in the 4th row and the 2 row, but 8's the furthest down that they're together. So you need to divide. It's called greatest common factor for a reason. Okay, you want to divide by the highest number possible. That'll stay the same. That'll become 1x minus 3. So bring those over. Okay, this doesn't have an x, get rid of it. So F1, F2. Negative 1 divided by 8 is negative 0.125. You don't like writing that, you could just write it as a fraction, negative 1/8. Over here, however, ditch that stupid looking 1, plus 3, and you're at 3. So you want to put 3 down, 3 seconds is your answer. Okay, final problem. A picture has dimensions of 8 inches by 10 inches. We will put a frame around the picture to hang on a wall. We have 224 square inches of space to hang it. What's the greatest amount of thickness the frame can be all the way around? So inches. This is a shape problem. So you got 8 by 10. You're building a frame outside it. If you don't have room on bottom, just make the measurement line on top. Mark where the middle begins and ends. So this would be 8, x, and x. If you get the 10 and the 8 mixed up, it doesn't matter on your own. Okay, but with me, do it the way I'm doing it. Okay, so, and then right here, that's 10, x, and x. We're going to need that. So we kind of make a line right there. Now we need to write the area equation. It's length multiplied by width equals area. Area we know is 224. Length, there's x plus 8 plus x. So we're adding 2 x's together. That'd be 2x plus the 8 in the middle. On the side, 2x plus the 10 in the middle. Okay. Now, it's not a regular problem until you get rid of those ridiculous parentheses. So that's the FOIL. So, 2x times 2x and 2x times 10. Get that out of there. Then 8 to 2x, 8 to 10. So now we're distributing 8. So you see x times x, that's x to the second power. 2 times 2 is 4. Then you have x, 2 times 10 is 20. Then x, 8 times 2 is 16. Then 8 times 10 is 80. Now line up your slots so it's simplified. Because you have 4 for x second, then you add those two, and that's 36. Then you got your 80. You add those two, not multiply them, you're adding them. Okay. Alright, so come over here, equals 224, and just write what you got for the product, 4x second plus 36x plus 80. Okay, now it's no longer a story problem. It's just a regular equation you got to solve. You have x second, and you have x. So those two things means we have to use our factoring properties. Okay, so list your solution set, okay, by the highest solution sets, how many answers you got? Well, x is to the second, that's the highest, so there's 2. Got to have 0. You don't have 0. This is the one problem where you haven't had the 0, so you can't check it. You have to minus 224, and you can put it under the 80. It's going to go with the 80, or you can hang it. It's up to you. So you have x second, x constant equals 0. X second's 4, x is 36. Now, to find this, if you put it under it, you just go 80 minus 224. That's what you put. If You put it beside it, you take 80 and you'd add negative 224. It's the same thing, okay? Okay, now you're good. You see three, now your zeros there, you can check it, and then there'd be three terms. So GCF table. Might as well make the table big, because you got space. Last one doesn't have X. You have no business putting an X there when all of them don't have some type of X. See, that slot's missing X. You can't put it. This is not have a negative, so no negative. Then 436 and 144. Okay. Well, 436 and the table's too small, so you go to the GCF app. Okay, GCF calculator. And you punch in the three numbers. That'll for sure tell us what row they'd be in if the chart were bigger. 436, and hit commas before you do them, if I could get it entered in right. 144, that's the three numbers we're looking for, and that'll tell me instantly 4. 4, but again, you're not doing 4x, you're not doing negative 4, you don't have x, you don't have the negative. Okay, so that's 1. Now, am I putting an x down there? I don't think I am, so it stays x to the second. Then that's 9, positive 9, x. And then negative 144 divided by 4 is negative 36. So let's get that GCF, bring it over, cross it off, and this is my ABC. Okay, so the A times C product is negative 36. And remember, the A, the x second, here is my A, it's 1, 1x to the second. Okay, so that's a mismatch. It is a positive times a negative. We're trying to add to the B, which is positive 9. If you want to put positive 9x, whatever, I don't care. 36 divided by 1 is 36. Add those, it's negative 35. That's not even close. Okay. 2 is 18. So 2 plus negative 18, no. 36 divided by 3 is 12. What's 3 and negative 12? Add 2. Okay, stop dividing. You just need to make it into positive 9. It's easy to do. You just go positive 12 and then the negative on the 3 side. They just switch places. 9, there it is. So you put in your negative 3, you put in your positive 12. X second is x time is we'll be going xx, okay? Then we place that 1 in front, 1. Okay, 1 and 3. That's in row 1. 1 and 12. 1 and 12 are only in row 1. So that would remain 1x minus 3, and that would remain 1x plus 12. Okay, so you bring over your 1x minus 3 and your 1x plus 12 equals 0. This is worthless. It has no x, okay? So F1, F2. So 1x minus 3 could equal 0. 1x plus 12 could equal 0. Okay, if the dot number is a 1, you don't need it. Plus 3, so that's 3. Minus 12, 0 minus 12 is negative 12. Okay, 3 is your highest one, 3 inches.